Hey everyone, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, guys.
For some people, it's a motivation Monday, some it's a mindful Monday. But if you are here on Say That channel, you know that Mondays are for the Monday Rundown. Woo! That's what we should be doing.
That's funny.
So my name is Janelle Villiers. That over there is Winston Broderick. We are your hosts on Say That channel. And Monday rundowns are great for us because we get to talk about all the things that we don't normally get to talk about on our Wednesday shows, which are earmarked for entrepreneurship topics. So what we do on Mondays is we look to other content creators, other thought leaders on the different topics that we talk about. So that way we could all learn and grow together. It's one of our
Say
favorite things.
that. Say that. Say that. All right, let's jump into today's topic.
What key factors make a good relationship? I think it's interesting because if you do watch our Wednesday episode from last week, you will see that we interviewed Michael Tecci, and
Say that.
he talked about his book that he just published, that we helped him publish, that talks about 13 key aspects of a relationship that are needed. And I'm gonna say those 13. So go buy that book if you want to know the official 13 keys that are needed for a relationship. I'm going to go with the description is below. I'll put that in the description below. I'm going to go with something actually my therapist said, which is every relationship actually needs three things. It's kind of like a tripod, and if one of the legs of the tripod goes away, then the tripod falls over. And the three things are shared values in money or financial harmony, intimacy, good intimacy, and
Wow.
and trust. Those three things. Without one of them, it will fall. And if you have two of them that are missing or shaky, it won't work out. Those are the three fundamentals that you absolutely need. So financial harmony, like you must have a shared financial goal or vision, shared financial vision. Intimacy, physical and emotional intimacy, and trust.
Those are really
Those.
good. Yeah. What key factors make a good relationship? For I Well, it does say factors, so there obviously, and to your point, definitely go grab Michael's new book, like Janelle said, it'll be in the description. Um, I certainly agree with all three of yours. There was at one point for me, I felt intimacy was one of the, I guess, for every person, maybe some of these are going to be higher on your list, and some will be lower. So I think that obviously play a role. But to piggyback off of that, I feel, I don't know, vulnerability or just honesty is is like probably one of the key things I think that comes across, and not necessarily always in how you discuss trust, but the sense that you can share, the sense that you can share things that you probably don't tell just the world with this person. I think there's a sense that we kind of keep this very tough facade or strength. We want to be strong, but I feel like in choosing a partner, there's a desire to just have a person that you can just be honest with. I feel terrible, like, and this person is, and then on the other side of that, for them, I think empathy would be I guess the other side of that, a person then that can empathize, because I know certain situations will require you to kind of suck it up sometimes, but there are other times I just think it's nice to have a person who you're having a bad day and they just want to give you a hug. I said that before. Janelle like laughed. I said Winston's going to give you a hug, but I've just learned, I'm finding that it's just nice to have that. hey, I don't feel the best, and a person goes, you know what, I get it, or I'm sorry, I said this, I wasn't feeling, my best self, I wasn't my best self, and the person just is able to understand that. Excuse me.
I agree. That's another good one. I
Wow.
was going to say the other thing you said about being vulnerable and sharing things, to me, that's emotional intimacy. That's why I said emotional and physical intimacy. Um, but the other part about the person being empathic in return and open to receiving that kind of vulnerability is also important. So I really agree. All right, well, it's not just us. You guys know that we are huge fans
I love it.
of the School of Life. They always bring the heat. They always enlighten us and teach us new things and are able to communicate things in a way that are easy to understand. So let's go ahead and hear what they've got to say.
Take us to school.
Many people, after they've been in a couple for some time, will privately admit that they are, in many ways, frustrated and disappointed by the person they've chosen to share their lives with. If pressed for details, they will have no difficulty coming up with a list. Their partner, they might complain, is too loyal to their irritating family, or doesn't share their views on the layout of the living room, or never wants to go on camping holidays, or plays tennis every Wednesday evening no matter what, or doesn't like Moroccan food, or doesn't share their enthusiasm for 19th century Russian novels, or has a habit of adding actually to every second sentence when it's actually redundant. As the list gets longer, they sigh. They still love their partner and they long to be happy together. It's just that it seems impossibly complicated to make this relationship work. What's driving the frustration is not that they've sadly fallen for an idiot as a mate. It's rather that we have all inherited needlessly complicated ideas of what a relationship is supposed to be for. We are told that love is meant to involve the almost total merger of two lives. We expect that a loving couple must live in the same house, eat the same meals together every night, share the same bed, go to sleep and get up at the same time, only ever have sex with, or even sexual thoughts about each other, regularly see each other's families, have all their friends in common, and pretty much think the same thoughts on every topic at every moment. It's a beautiful vision, but a hellish one too, because it places an impossibly punitive burden of expectation on another human. We feel the partner must be right for us in every way, and if they're not, has to be prodded and cajoled into reform. But there is another perspective. Relationships don't have to be so complicated and ambitious if we keep in view what in the end actually makes them fulfilling. If we boil matters down, there might really just be three essential things that we want from a lover. Firstly, kindness. A partner who is gentle with our imperfections and can good-humoredly tolerate us as we are. Secondly, shared vulnerability. Someone with whom we can be open about our anxieties, worries, and the problems that throw us off balance. Someone we don't have to put on a good front for. Someone around whom we can be weak, vulnerable, and honest, and who will be the same around us. Thirdly, understanding. Someone who is interested in and can make sense of certain obscure features of our minds, our obsessions, preoccupations, and ways of seeing the world, and whom we are excited to understand in turn. If we have these three critical ingredients to hand, we will feel loved and essentially satisfied, whatever differences then crop up in 100 other areas. Perhaps our partner's friends or routines won't be a delight, but we will be content. Just as if we lack these emotional goods and yet agree on every detail of European literature, interior design, and social existence, we are still likely to feel lonely and bereft. By limiting what we expect a relationship to be about, we can overcome the tyranny and bad temper that bedevils so many lovers. A good, simpler, yet very fulfilling relationship could end up in a minimal state. We might not socialize much together. We might hardly ever encounter each other's families. Our finances might overlap only at a few points. We could be living in different places and only meet up twice a week. Conceivably, we might not even ask too many questions about each other's sex life. But when we would be together, it would be profoundly gratifying because we would be in the presence of someone who knew how to be kind, vulnerable, and understanding. A bond between two people can be very deep and important precisely because it's not played out across all practical details of existence. By simplifying and clarifying what a relationship is for, we release ourselves from overly complicated conflicts and can focus on our urgent underlying needs to be sympathized with, seen, and understood.
Deciding whether to stay in or leave a relationship is one of the trickiest and most consequential decisions we can face. Our stay or leave card game can help us towards an answer. Click now.
That was really good. It just reminded me of something that when I was practicing genetic counseling, it was always on the front of my mind, which is after food and shelter and water, once people have satisfied that, and I guess their bills are paid, every human has this fundamental need to be seen and understood. And that is basically what I spent most of my life doing when I was a genetic counselor. I help people feel seen and understood. And I thought it was very interesting that that's what they said. Ultimately, that's what romantic relationships need to
fulfill. It's it was interesting when you mentioned what your list was, or the factors your therapist shared with you. I think the thing that came to mind, and I didn't necessarily want to get into it because I still do recognize that those things are important. And I think that's probably why I led with how the list of hierarchy, because I do think that for some people, some of that for them is going to be important, like finances. And then
by the way, sorry, it wasn't, I didn't say it in a specific order. Each of the three things the therapist said are equally important. One of them is not more important than
no, that's my point. Was I disagree with that because I don't believe I just don't. The reason that not necessarily I disagree with it. It's just given a certain relationship dynamic, I don't see those things as all equal, because for some person it could be more important that finances, this person needs to make more, we need to be equal in our finances, I want to make less and have somebody else, you know what I mean? And then for one person, physical and emotional intimacy may be different things. So for one person, maybe physical intimacy, but I do understand to a degree that, why am I excuse me, that the requirement of each of them on some level is, and that's what I think I took away, on some level, regardless of my whole hierarchy thing, it's important that those are parts of that relationship. Like those three components or factors are important. But the other thought, we had done I don't know if it was a Monday rundown or if it was Say That on Wednesdays, but we had looked at a woman that just talked about how relationships had changed. And she was speaking more just financially and what certain people were looking for. And I think age also came into some of her conversation, like what certain older men were looking for and all these different things. But it just made me think there's so many relationships that aren't, or no relationship looks the same. And I know there's some people who are in polyamorous relationships, and so maybe they're able to have their needs fulfilled in ways that a person who's in a traditional, they mentioned in the video, like sleeping in the same place. There's some people who, I got to sleep in the same bed. There's some relationships that are entirely happy and each person has their own bedroom. You know what I mean? Like, and they sleep in their own bed for reasons that, again, for them, they have found that, hey, I actually remember having a client where one of her biggest gripes was that her husband snored. And in my mind, I thought to myself, wow, think of that. Like all these other things, she was being financially provided for by him. And it's like you'd want to think, oh, because that need financially is being taken care of, it's like you shouldn't complain about but that's not a factor for her. It's like even though I'm happy here, the snoring's annoying. You know what I mean? Like so it's just funny to me that relationships are amazing because they are so unique. Yours is never going to look like someone else's, and I think that's something we should all lean into. I think it's great to have relationship goals or couple goals, but you never. I don't think any of us really knows what's going on in anyone else's relationships. You're always going to be a fly on the wall, even if you're watching them on some type of TV platform and you think you're getting what you're not. Some of that stuff, they're aware the camera's there, and I don't know if you can truly ever separate yourself from that idea of, oh, I'm being filmed. So maybe there's a thing you were gonna say that you didn't say. It's gonna sound different because like, I just think relationships are beautiful as a whole. I know what I started with Pride and Leisure there, but I do think I think they're really cool because, again, you get to create, you get to design whatever it is that you want. And I think there's did you say this? I don't know, but it's in open communication, you can really, especially if you want it to last long, I think you get an opportunity to tell a person exactly what you want, and that may change a month, a year, 10 years down the line. But if you continue to communicate that, it can continue to be beautiful. And I'll just leave it with that.
Say that.
Yeah.
Say that. Well, look, happy Valentine's Day if you're watching us on Monday. If you're watching us on Friday, happy Valentine's Day. If you are celebrating Singles Awareness Day, happy SAD. And we'll see you next Monday. But until then, as always, remember that you deserve the good life. Say that.
Say that. And you are enough.